Look, if you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip?
Trying to hold you. So mouthy.
Hey everyone, and just wow, what an incredible year it has been. From crossing items off my bucket list to seizing new opportunities that were never on my radar at the beginning of this year. When 2022 first started, it did not start off on the right foot though. I was broken down in New Mexico, and at that point I had been stranded for 5 days. I had woken up January 1st, 2022 to someone knocking on my hotel door. It turns out it was one of the mechanics who had walked over from the shop. Upon answering the door, he told me that I needed to get out of town and basically just abandon the bus because the shop was just milking me for my money. When I got a hold of the shop owner where the bus was located, it turns out the mechanic that came to my hotel had just recently gotten out of prison for armed robbery. And on Christmas Eve night when I left, he had tried to rob the owner because he had yet to be paid for the work on my bus. The owner had explained that the bus was not fixed yet, and thus he would not get paid for the job. As a result, he got violent. And that is how my 2022 began. And at this point, I did not have a single penny left to my name. I was going off of only donations, and I was just trying to get back on my feet. So I opened up a P.O. box and a bank account in Lake Havasu, Arizona, and I got to work selling on eBay. By the end of January, I had made enough money off of eBay to get back on my feet and attend Schoolie Palooza. There I got to see other nomads and actually take part in my first nomad gathering. From live music to free food, it was overall just an amazing experience. I even got to see a nomad wedding. It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I am so thankful that I was able to attend. As we entered March, I began to get ready for the trip back to Upper Michigan. And in order to help pay for all the diesel during the crazy inflation, I managed to make the biggest eBay sale I have ever done. Prior to leaving to Arizona, I had bought a coin for $17.50. It was an Apollo 11 50th anniversary special kit, and it was worth $2,000. This would help me not only pay for the diesel, but ultimately cross off some items along the way. As April began, I was inducted into the National Society of Leadership and Success, and along with this, we began our trip back to Upper Michigan. Our trip began by doing Highway 395 in California. This is also where Yosemite is actually located. And even though we couldn't visit the national park, just doing this scenic highway was definitely worth the trip. To this day, it remains one of my favorite trips, and this painting actually reminds me of that very scenic highway. As April came to an end, we visited the Utah Salt Flats, and I actually received my first Patreon member who was donating $80 every month to help support me, my travels, and my overall business. And I just want to take a moment to give a big thank you to that member, and for everyone else who over this past year, especially being broken down in New Mexico, supported me and rooted for me and helped me achieve all these amazing stories. To further build off of that, if any of you are interested in learning more and going a little deeper into these stories and these experiences, please check out my book, Discomfort: The Key to Your Best Life. It's actually an autobiography that not only talks about my experience being broken down in New Mexico and traveling the country, but it talks about my depression and my social anxiety and just my anxiety in general that started when I was back in high school. There's a lot of raw emotions in this book, and I tried to give everyone a lot of details so you could imagine what it was like in my shoes as I lived through these experiences. If you are interested in purchasing the book, please check the description of this video as there will be a link down below. Without further ado, let's continue into the video. And as we get about halfway through the year here, I would say that May was actually the biggest month I had all year. It started off with visiting the Red Fern statue in Idaho. Now, growing up, my favorite book has always been Where the Red Fern Grows. So to go and see this statue and cross it off of my bucket list was a very big moment for me. Not only this though, but shortly right after, I got to see my first drive-in theater. I watched Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, being the big Marvel fan I am, and I absolutely fell in love with the experience, and I cannot wait to go to another drive-in theater. Also, build up even more, May 6th, the day after I attended the drive-in theater, I graduated from Gogebic Community College. After attending the college for 4 years, 2 years of which I was traveling on the road and doing my classes all online, some of them being physics, calculus 3, chemistry, online during the middle of a pandemic, I graduated with a degree in entrepreneurship. While I didn't get to be at the college for my graduation, which would have been on May 6th, I actually crossed off a very, very big item on my bucket list: Yellowstone National Park. For as long as I can remember, Route 66 and Yellowstone National Park have been two very big items for me. And I thought it was very fitting that to start my trip I did Route 66, and to end it I was now visiting Yellowstone. But not only that, I was visiting Yellowstone and hiking so much that day and just really taking in the full experience on the day of my college graduation. I honestly would not have spent the day any other way. Now in Upper Michigan during the summer, I wasn't traveling around as much because the inflation was really hurting me financially. But this did result in being able to cross off one more big item off my bucket list. I have always loved to write, and I always wanted to publish a book. So I started writing Discomfort, the Key to Your Best Life. From the formatting, to the writing, to the editing, to the cover, everything was done. And in July, I published and sold my first copies of my book. It started off by me simply wanting to cross off the fact that I wrote a book from my bucket list. But upon writing the book, I quickly learned that there was so much more to it. By talking about my sexuality, to coming out, to my depression, to my anxiety, to traveling the country, there was so much that I felt I could share, and I hoped that by writing this book, it could help others who want to travel but are scared to, or others who are scared of coming out, or people that deal with depression and anxiety. And I absolutely felt so accomplished to be able to cross this off my bucket list. My summer then ended with me getting a job at Gogebic Community College. I got the job as the manager of the campus suites. And being able to do this job, I feel like everything is almost coming full circle. From traveling the country for 2 years and doing classes online, to doing classes in person for 2 years, from me living in an apartment, to living with my parents, to living in the dorms, to being able to meet other people when I was on the road and just learn about different cultures and all that different stuff, all those different experiences that I can now use to help build a great college experience for new college students. And so far, I am absolutely loving the job, and I can't wait to see what else we accomplish in the future. Now, November and December were no different. They also turned out to be amazing months. In November, I took a vacation to Vegas. And while it was my third time being in Las Vegas, and I'm not the biggest fan of Vegas, I got to see some amazing things and do some amazing experiences that I haven't otherwise gotten to do in the past. This included a Saw escape room, a hike at Antelope Canyon, jumping off the stratosphere. Just all kinds of crazy, fun, and amazing stuff that I'm never going to forget. And along with this, November led to a rebrand. Kobe's Travels is how this channel first started out, but I never felt like that was unique enough. So with my domain expiring at the end of November, I decided to rename the channel Livin' the Dream, and I built a new website which has a blog on it, amongst other things. But the blog is something I've been wanting to do since the very, very beginning, because again, I love to write and I would love to go deeper into some of these experiences or just the history of some of the places I have visited. And just being able to do that on my website now is another big item crossed off my bucket list. With the year coming to an end, I finished my first semester here as a staff member at Gogebic Community College. We tried some cooking activities as well as different activities to see what worked and what didn't, and just trying to make a positive impact here on the college campus as well as in our students' lives. And along with this, I hit a secret goal of mine. I ended up making $100 in sales off of my book. For me, that was a really big deal. It might not seem like much, but I had never published a book before. So to be able to say that I wrote it, formatted it, the whole 9 yards, published it, and I made $100 off of that, absolutely blew my mind and still does today. And again, I have to give a big thank you to those who have read it, and thank you for sharing your feedback on it. It absolutely makes my day, and I'm loving all the reviews and just all the positivity. I'm glad you guys are loving the book, and just please keep sharing it with other friends and family members, as I really want to help others just get out of their comfort zones and achieve their best lives. Along with that, I hit my secret subscriber goal for this year on YouTube. I actually not only hit it, I surpassed it. My goal for this year was to hit 350 subscribers. I am really proud to say that we are finishing the year off with 356. So thank you to all the new subscribers. Just thank you for the people who have supported me again throughout this entire year, from the breakdown in New Mexico to the hitting the 350 and everything in between. I cannot thank you guys enough. And with that, the 2022 season comes to an end. Good night. You psycho.